Joseph Farah is the editor of the conservative conspiracy website WorldNetDaily, and this lunatic decided to echo a statement that many elected Republicans have made over the years, and that idea is there are no moderate Muslims. They're all as guilty as the extremists. He says, quote, "The stealth jihadists have a public relations nightmare on their hands. It's called ISIS. The Muslim Brotherhood front group, the Council on American-Islamic Relations, a darling of the U.S. media, thinks ISIS is giving jihadists like them a bad name." In other words, Nihad Awad, whose organization is actually an offshoot of the terrorist group Hamas, that's not true, I'll come back to that, currently bombarding Israeli cities with rockets, thinks ISIS should kill, maim, behead, and institute Saudi-style Sharia law less zealously, more judiciously, more moderately, and perhaps less conspicuously. We've witnessed Islam's carnage over the last 13 years. The tactics of Awad and CAIR may differ from ISIS, but it's like the difference between Joseph Stalin and Leon Trotsky. The goals are the same. It's only a matter of strategy for achieving them. People must be judged not by their words, but by their fruits. And it's fair to say, after 1,400 years of terror, genocide, and unspeakable tyranny in the Islamic world, that its fruit is rotten to the core. So, there are many things about this that are laughably stupid. I mean, one of the things right off the bat is this idea that he, at multiple times in the article, he stopped referring to terrorists as terrorists or ISIS or jihadists, and he would just say Islam, Islam, Islam. Now, understand, I am an agnostic atheist. I am a vehement anti-theist, probably as big of an anti-theist as there is. Okay, I dislike all religions. I think they're all stupid. I think they're all wrong. I think they're all pathetic. I think they brainwash people and they're overwhelmingly negative, etc., etc., etc. And I'm no fan of Islam, as everybody knows. But the idea that all Muslims are as guilty as ISIS, well, that's pathetic. I mean, there are articles out today about how the rest of the Arab world is ecstatic that the U.S. is teaming up with Kurds to fight ISIS. There was a hashtag in the Muslim world about where they mocked ISIS. They would burn the ISIS flag. So what, they all agree? And also, ISIS, they're Sunni jihadists. Do you not know that Shiites exist? Do you not know that Iran despises ISIS in every way, shape, and form? I mean, that's like saying, to say all Muslims are like ISIS, that's like saying all Christians are like the KKK. It's just gross, generalized, pathetic thinking. And see, that's the thing. Like, a lot of atheists, they mock the idea of Islamophobia like it doesn't exist, like it's not a real thing. No, it does. The progressives are right about the idea of Islamophobia. It's the idea that because you dislike the thing overall, you dislike religion, you dislike Islam, you dislike all the stuff, right? That, therefore, any argument used against anybody who's a Muslim is therefore a good argument by definition just because I don't like the thing. But no, that's stupid. You can't make false statements because you don't like something, broadly speaking. You have to be specific and correct in your attacks and in your disagreements. But they don't. It's just broad, disgusting attacks. So, CAIR is a Muslim American group, okay, and they're a civil rights group. They're the furthest thing from a terrorist organization. Now, he mentioned repeatedly Nihad Awad there. That's one of the co-founders of CAIR. Let me tell you a little bit about him. This is from The Intercept. Quote, Awad is an American citizen and has lived in the U.S. for more than 2 decades. He's worked with U.S. officials at the highest levels. In 1997, he served on Vice President Al Gore's Civil Liberties Advisory Panel to the White House Commission on Aviation Safety and Security, and he has personally met with Presidents Clinton and Bush, as well as former Secretaries of State Madeleine Albright and Colin Powell, to discuss issues relating to the Muslim American community. A few days after 9/11, Awad was one of the few American Muslim leaders who participated in a press conference with President Bush at the Islamic Center of Washington. So, this guy was the first Muslim the first Muslim American to 100% denounce terrorism, denounce the 9/11 attacks, and stand in solidarity with the Bush administration. So how about his group, CAIR? Well, to give one example here of times where they did in fact denounce terrorism, quote, immediately after the identity of the alleged Boston bombers was revealed, CAIR issued a statement in response condemning terrorism. Quote, terrorism has no allegiance to faith or ethnicity, and we have been witness to that over the past few years. What happened in Boston and Watertown last week does not reflect on anyone except for those who carried it out. It is not a reflection of ethnic identity, religion, or national affiliation. As Americans, we are a united force against any form of tyranny, whether it be in the form of terrorism or otherwise. Totally against violence. I'm not done yet. Now, in the article, Farah was specifically saying, but they really like ISIS. That's who it's about. They agree with ISIS. Quote, American Muslims, this is the statement from CAIR, American Muslims view the actions of ISIS as both un-Islamic and morally repugnant. No interpretation of Islam condones the torture and murder of civilians, the destruction of houses of worship, or the targeting of religious minorities. We reiterate our condemnation of the violent actions and religious extremism of ISIS. They are simply insane. A guy like Joseph Farah is dangerous because his willingness to lump people all together simply because of their skin tone or their ethnicity or their religion, it's stuff like that that leads to the Japanese internment camps which we had in the U.S. Okay, and the fact that there are no shades of gray in his thinking, there's no open-mindedness, there's no care for the facts. He just brushes the facts aside that CAIR is a moderate civil rights group, and he says, I don't care. They're Muslim, and since they're Muslim, they're therefore just as guilty as ISIS. This says a lot more about Joseph Farah than it does about CAIR.